Hey guys, today I got some precious gems in my hands. We are talking about books, and that is always a topic I love chatting with you guys about. Would love recommendations for other books similar to the ones I've read that I've enjoyed, and I love giving recommendations. So today I'm going to be walking you through briefly each of the books that I read in March. Now, at the time of filming this, it is almost May, but here's the deal. March, I hit it good. I read 7 books. Right now it is April. Today is April 21st, the day of filming this, and so far I've read 2. So I can't be like, hey, here are my books for April, because this video would be done and done so fast. So we're going through the books I read in March, and then maybe if I read a couple more in this last week or 2 of April, I can do an April video if you would like that as well. But today, let's just kick it off, go through each of the 7 books that I read in March, and I will give you my honest rating and review. The first book that I read in March was a recommendation by my friend Kat, and that is Everyone in My Family Has Killed Someone. I'm a sucker for a really good mystery, and what I liked about this one was the author breaks the fourth wall, and the author is so funny, and just the way that they go about things, it feels really chill, it feels really nonchalant, but then they're also in the story, but they're always breaking that fourth wall, and it just gives an element to the story that honestly, that's what made the story for me. I gave this one a 5. I really went back and forth, but honestly, what made it a 5 was the author and the language and just all of the funny stuff that they said and did and breaking that fourth wall. Otherwise, the story in itself was a little bit lower ranking for me, but because of the author and how funny he was, this one got a 5 out of 5. The next one that I read is Never Lie by Freida McFadden. Now, I've realized I kind of love this author. She wrote the Housemaid books, and I read those towards the end or like the middle of 2023 and loved them. She has another one coming out this year very soon. It might honestly be May, or is it June? Or maybe it's July. It's sometime before fall. That's all I can tell you. But this one, 5 out of 5. Literally, okay, so I read this after I read this one, and if I were to pick between the two, 100% all day, every day, this one. So then it makes me question, did I rate this one incorrectly? But I'm not gonna go back and change it, because in the moment I did say that it was a 5. But then reading this, they're just so different. But let me read the back for you for this one to try to intrigue you to read it yourself. Newlyweds Trisha and Ethan are searching for the house of their dreams. They think they found it when they visit the remote manor that once belonged to Dr. Adrian Hale, a renowned psychiatrist who vanished without a trace years ago. But when a violent winter storm traps them at the estate, the house begins to lose its appeal. Stuck inside and growing restless, Trisha stumbles on a collection of audio transcripts from Dr. Hale's sessions with patients. As Trisha listens to the cassette tapes, she learns about the terrifying chain of events leading up to the doctor's mysterious disappearance. With each tape, another shocking piece of the puzzle falls into place, and a web of lies slowly unravels. But by the time Trisha reaches the final cassette, the one that reveals the entire horrifying story, it will be too late. So good. If you like mysteries, literally go get this right now. Now the next one, if you watch other videos on my channel, you've heard me talk about in just one of my other vlogs, but it is The Fury by Alex Michaelides. Now, Alex Michaelides has written 3 books, this being the 3rd one. All 3 of them somehow intertwine in a way. They're not in a series or anything, but I can't spoil anything. But if you have read Silent Patient and then you read The Maidens, whatever it is, I don't remember if it's Maid or Maidens, doesn't matter, and then read this one, like, this will make, you'll find some things out in this that make things in his other books make more sense that didn't make sense when you read that book. So they're all he just has such a way of tying things together in such a beautiful mystery. So The Fury by Alex Michaelides was another 5 out of 5. The next book that I read in March was not a 5 out of 5. It was a 4 out of 5, and that was Mama Bear Apologetics. So basically, this book was written by a series of women who have this ministry called, is it called Mama Bear Apologetics, or is it just called Mama Bear? Something like that, where basically this walks you through the tools of apologetics with your kids. So teaching them to own their faith, to answer questions from kids. It walks you through all these different issues right alongside the Bible. It is very inspiring. It is a lot of good stuff. I think my biggest issue with this one was that a lot of it is not super useful for me in this stage of life, and also it just was really a lot of information in one book. It took me about a month to read because I read a couple pages at a time and be like, that was so much to comprehend. And I just find I read nonfiction slower because I'm trying to like take in and also apply the information the best I can, and I'm not great at that. I'm about like, let's get through the book instead of like, hey, let's stop and soak it in. I'm not great at the soaking in part and applying, okay? I'm working on it, or at least I should. But with this book, it just seemed like a lot of information with a lot of big words, things I hadn't necessarily heard before, to where I was like, this is good stuff. It's just kind of heavy to take on all in a sitting. It would be something to maybe work through with like a group where it was like every week you maybe read one chapter and then talk about it and then work through it slowly, rather than like, let's get through this, girl, because it was just all these things. It was like, this is good, but it's kind of a lot. But Mama Bear Apologetics by Hillary Morgan Ferrer. She was like the main author, but then there were other women who wrote as well. The next book is 3 by Ted Dekker. Now, this was my first Ted Dekker book. My brother grew up reading every Ted Dekker book, the color books, the circle books, like all of them. And so when I one day was like, I don't know what book to read, my husband was like, well, you could read 3. And so I texted my brother and he was like, yeah, do it. And so we were able to kind of talk about it since he loves these books and is getting into more reading again himself. So we were able to talk about it. And I went so back and forth on this book. I really enjoyed it. In my head, I was like, this is a 5 out of 5 mystery. It's a new author for me, so in that way, it was kind of fun to get just like a different writing style. And I really liked the story. I was very intrigued. But the ending was, I felt like I needed more. I felt like I needed more solution than there was to offer. And in my head, I was like, okay, Ted, if we can go by first name basis, your ending is interesting and it's good and it makes sense, but I was wanting something different. Do you feel that? You feel that? I can't be the only one. So let me read what this one's about though, because I feel like this does a really good job of captivating you from the start. Okay, so I found what this book is about finally. It took me forever, I'm not sure why. But on the other hand, Ted Dekker is a Christian author, but not all of his stuff is like about God, but he's writing fiction from like a Christian standpoint. So it is really cool because you know that this book isn't going to include super crap, garbage, douchey kind of stuff. You know this book isn't going to include stuff that you would be like, I don't really want to read that. So that's good to know. But Kevin Parson is driving his car late one summer day when suddenly his cell phone rings. A man who identifies himself as Slater speaks in a breathy voice. You have exactly 3 minutes to confess your sin to the world. Refuse and the car you're driving will blow sky high. Kevin panics. Who would make such a call? What sin? Kevin ditches the car. Precisely 3 minutes later, a massive explosion sets his world on a collision course with madness. So basically, this guy is told he needs to confess something, otherwise something is going to happen and he doesn't know what he's going to confess. And so there are a series of phone calls, a series of tragic events, just a big twist of a mystery, quite the unexpected at the end. So if you like mysteries, I'd say give it a go because you might love, love, love the ending. To me, it was just not exactly what I thought, and it didn't feel as satisfying to me, but you might absolutely love it. So if you like mysteries, give it a go. The next book I read, I did a little book club with my friend Kat, and it's called Practicing the Way, Be with Jesus, Become Like Him, Do as He Did, John Mark Comer. I have loved John Mark Comer's books that I have read. I'm going to be reading another one here soon that I haven't read before, and all of them leave feeling super convicting and talk about issues that I feel like need to be talked about more in the church, and honestly, super practical some history stuff, just really diving deep. It feels like a Bible study on its own. This is one of those books I need to reread probably every year and honestly go back to the things I wrote and highlighted. I should honestly like take notes on my phone next time I read it to like, these are the main takeaways, because the whole book felt like a takeaway, but I want like a couple things to apply. But very, basically it talks about being an apprentice of Jesus and being an apprenticeship, like an apprentice like back in the day, what that actually meant and what that entailed, and how we as Christians need to follow that with our relationship with the Lord. It is so good. If you are a Christian, 5 out of 5, please go read this book. It is life-changing. The next book is a 3 out of 5 star. That is Sometimes I Lie by Alice Feeney. So I love Alice Feeney as an author, but I find that I either think her books are average or I'm obsessed. This was the one that was on the average. So it says, Amber Reynolds wakes up in a hospital. She can't move. She can't speak. She can't open her eyes. She can hear everyone around her, but they have no idea. Amber doesn't remember what happened to her, but she has a sneaking suspicion her husband had something to do with it, or her sister, or maybe both. Terrified and trapped inside her own body, she slowly begins to remember a night that changed her life. Is she in a coma due to an accident? Is her sister having an affair with her husband? What happened at work with her horrible boss? And who's the person who is silently visiting her bedside each night? Very, very intriguing, right? Like that makes you want to literally pick it up and be like, what's going on? And I did like it, but my biggest thing was I was confused. There were times she goes in and out of like the past, the present. She's in the coma. She's not in the coma. She's dreaming she's in the coma. She's dreaming she's out of the coma. And I'm like, huh? So I was confused. It just wasn't the most amazing thriller, but it is a very interesting plot. I do have to say that. So that is my 7th book, 3 out of 5 star by Alice Feeney. So those were my March book reads. Maybe I will do one of these for April as well if I can kick my butt into shape and read a couple more books this month. But I hope you enjoyed it. We will see you next time. Let me know in the comments if you like book videos or not, and we'll see you next time.